And if you're going in and asking questions about your child and they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. Why are we doing this? What's the upside? What's the downside? What are the side effects? If they say, we're going to give you this medication for your child, is this indicated for a child my age? If they say, your child's got bipolar, give me something to read about this. Are they the age that they should be bipolar? And this medication you're giving me for it, what are the side effects? And if you're going in and asking questions about
What are the side effects?
What are the side effects? What are the side effects?
What are the side effects?
What are the side effects? What are the side effects?
What are the side effects?
What are the side effects?
What are the side effects?
What are the side effects?
and they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, we need to do this, you need to ask why. And they say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing? What's the upside? 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 What's the downside? What's the downside? What's the downside? What's the
The most common way to say you are afraid is to use be afraid, feel afraid, or be scared, feel scared. If you want to say why you are scared, you can add the preposition of, or you can add a reason transition, like because. It is important to remember that if you use of and you add a verb after, you have to add ing to the verb. For example, she is scared of swimming. If you use because, the sentence after because should be a complete sentence. For instance, I am afraid because I watched a scary movie late at night. Lastly, you can use the adjective and say something is scary. That story is so scary. Firstly, you can use be sick, feel sick with fear, worry, or nerves. This is a useful phrase that lets you say exactly what kind of fear you feel. It means you are extremely scared, worried, or nervous about something. For example, I was worried sick with fear when you didn't answer my call. He feels sick with worry about his sick father. Secondly, you can use be frightened or feel frightened. You can also use the adjective form to describe something or someone as frightening. For example, he was so frightened that he screamed. Or, I feel frightened of the darkness. That was a really frightening sound. Thirdly, you can use be freaked out or feel freaked out or get freaked out. This means you are really scared and shocked by something. If you want to say what freaks you out, use the preposition by. For example, I am freaked out by clowns. She gets freaked out when she rides roller coasters. It's also common to make the scary thing the subject of the sentence. For instance, ghost stories freak me out. Now that you learned some new phrases, listen to a short conversation and see if you can pick out the idiom that means you are scared. Did you hear that sound? What sound? I didn't hear anything. It sounded like someone said hello. Again. Stop! You're making my blood run cold. Boo! You're so mean to me. You know I hate scary stuff. Did you catch the idiom in the conversation? If you said make someone's blood run cold, you're right. Stop! You're making my blood run cold. This idiom means you are so scared that you are frozen with fear. The speaker said, you're making my blood run cold. The most common way to say you are afraid is
I was worried sick with fear.
I was very sick with fear.
I was worried sick with fear.
I was very sick with fear.
The most common way to say you hate or dislike something is to use the verbs dislike and hate. For example, I hate hot summer days, or I dislike sweet food. You can also use hate with a verb and action by adding to before the verb, or ing to the verb stem. For instance, I hate waking up early, and I hate to say goodbye. With dislike, you can also use it with a verb, but it's important to note you cannot use the infinite to with the verb. You can only add ing to the verb stem. For example, I dislike listening to loud music, and I dislike going to high places. Firstly, instead of using dislike, you can use not a fan of or not big on. This means you don't really like something or someone. You can also use it with a verb, but only by adding ing to the verb stem. For instance, I'm not a fan of fruit pie, or he's not big on sharing his feelings. Secondly, instead of using hate, you can use disgust or disgusted by. This means you completely hate something. Both can be used with a verb, but you must add ing to the verb stem. Disgusted by is used when the subject of the sentence is a person. For instance, he is disgusted by cold noodles, or I am disgusted by loud chewing. Disgust is used when the subject of the sentence is the person or object that someone hates. For example, she disgusts me. Thirdly, you can say something or someone makes a person sick. This means you hate something so much you feel sick. The subject of the sentence is the person or object that someone hates. For instance, That video makes her sick. Or you make me sick. It can also be used with a verb, but you must add ing to the verb stem. For instance, lying makes me sick. Now that you learned some new phrases, listen to a short conversation and see if you can pick out the idiom that means you dislike or hate something. Do you see that over there? See what? Those plastic bottles and wrappers on the ground. Oh, I see them. What's the big deal? There's a trash can nearby. I don't understand why people can't throw away their trash. I see it really bothers you. Yeah, I can't stand the sight of littering. In that case, let's pick up the trash and throw it away in the trash can. Did you catch the idiom in the conversation? If you said, can't stand the sight of, you're right. Yeah, I can't stand the sight of littering. This is an idiom that means you hate to see something or someone. This idiom can be used with an action, like in the conversation, by adding ing to the verb stem. She said she can't stand the sight of littering. Litter means to throw trash on the ground. You can also say, I can't stand the sight of him, or he can't stand the sight of fish.
I'm not a fan of fruit pie.
I'm not a fan of fruit pie.